What if you tried everything and you can't get over someone after 10 years? And if even when you feel like you're getting there, you dream about it. So it's somehow beyond my control. Like,
here's the thing. Every relationship is eternal. And a lot of what's in your current vortex came as a result of that relationship. So there's active, dynamic, present tense in the process of evolving stuff that came out of that. And you don't want to just walk away from all of that and forget all of that. You just want to find a way to beneficially utilize it. Give us more.
it's not pleasant experience.
But here's the thing that we most want you to hear, and then we'll chew through it until you're understanding what we mean. This is an unnecessarily blunt statement, but we're just going to make it, and then we'll work the bugs out of it together. Sometimes something is the way that it is, and you can't change it, but you can decide how you're going to respond to it. Esther's beloved croaked. That sucked big time, and sometimes still does. And what she came to realize is that's just something that is, and I can find a way of knowing that and feeling alignment anyway, or I can find a way of knowing that and feeling terrible forevermore. What do you think stuck in your vibrational craw about it? Are you wanting it to return to what it once was? Nothing ever does, but
Yeah, kind of like the best experience that I lost.
you know this stick that we were talking about, this new stick that's really just for you? On one end of the stick is that person's name or that experience, and on the other end of the stick is togetherness, cooperation, humor and life together. There are a lot of things that are on the other end of that stick that are not pertinent to that one person. That one person represents all of these things that you found pleasurable, but this is the big thing that we most want to say to you. The majority of that relationship you attracted to yourself when you were under the influence of much more insecurity than you now are. And if that person were to come back into your experience, which that person cannot come back into your experience given the vibrational movement that you've had, if that person could come back, which that person can't come back, but if that person could come back, you wouldn't like it. So as you approach that relationship or that person as this concept or this stick, and you put all of that you kind of remember about that person, and of course you're making it feel better. In other words, it was never all that good. It just felt better than not being there. Almost everybody thinks that some relationship is better than no relationship, and we're here to tell you that isn't true. That isn't true, because it's not the relationship that you want, it's the alignment that it might inspire, but it's not alignment with them, it's the alignment with your inner being. A lot of people feel incomplete unless they have a partner, and it's not that partner that you're wanting to partner with, it's this partner, and then lots of times those partners come and partner with you when you're already partnered up with your inner being, and then you have blissful long-term relationships. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, and I feel like I'm getting better.
You are.
Somehow, like, it wakes me up from a dream. Like, I can sleep still. Like, do you know what? It's 10 years. I'm not that old.
The value of a dream. Now let's talk about this. We've been talking about this all day here today, that when you are under the influence of your inner being, by quieting your mind and stopping any resistance, so it allows your vibration to rise, and you receive like a daydream, that's you translating vibration right out of your vortex. Well, in your sleep state, your night dreams come out of whatever vibration is the most active. So if you have a nightmare, it's because that's what's active in your vibration as you go to sleep, and so that's what influence you're under, and so then you translate that. But if you have some blissful, incredible, wonderful dream that feels good to you as you're dreaming it, then that means you're under the influence of your source. So those blissful dreams that are coming to you that feel so good, that mean that you're under the influence of your source, Remember, if you can, that your source is talking about this end of the stick. Your inner being is helping you to know what it is you're looking for from a relationship, but it's not about those specifics. But in the way you translate it, because that's the closest thing to what you remember, then it's logical that you put that into your dream. You know how you'll have a dream, and let's say that you were in a diner right before you went to bed, and you had a hot dog right before you went to bed in the diner, and a red car went by as you were sitting there looking out the window, and then you have a dream that's about a lot of other things, but there's also a hot dog and a diner and a red car in your dream, because that's the stuff from which you are gathering. In other words, we're offering blocks of thought to Esther. We're not whispering words to her. So she's receiving the vibration at an unconscious level and finding words that match it. Well, where's she getting the words? From some other dimension? No, from this one. She uses words that are meaningful to those of you who are sharing this environment, because that's the only way that any connectivity can happen between all of us. You see, when you wake up from a dream, first thing, if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would ask is, how did it feel? And if it felt wonderful, then we would acknowledge this dream came from me being under the influence of Source. And then we would say, and what is my inner being conveying to me in this dream that I've translated into these specifics? But I translated into these specifics out of my habit of translating it into those specifics, because that was the most meaningful relationship I ever had, or the longest one, or whatever. But what is my inner being conveying? My inner being is conveying that we're speaking from your perspective. I'm a lover. I'm one who wants to love. I like holding someone as my object of attention. I like having an object of attention to flow love to and to receive love from. As you focus upon those things, because you see, if you focus on those things, you don't introduce any resistance into the equation. But if you focus upon that face or that person, you introduce big time resistance to the equation. And so the next lover cannot come, because you've introduced resistance and you've shut it down again already. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Sometimes, and we just have to say this, it takes getting general about it to bring the same lover back. And sometimes the same lover will come back, provided the same lover has evolved as you have evolved. That's rare. That's rare. Usually if they come back, it's because you got into another influence and you begged them to come back, and you caught them in a weak moment and they came back, and then it just gets bad again. That's usually how it happens when they come back. They hardly ever come back under the influence of Source. They usually come back under the influence of insecurity. Boom! But what does that matter? It's like, are you letting the database from which you select be only the relationship that you've had? That's a very narrow field. But he beat me, but I can get over that. Didn't have any money and wanted to spend all of mine. I can get over that. In other words, there's a big world out there of all kinds of wonderful people that would fit the criteria that you've put into your vortex. But you got to get that thing that's stuck in your vibrational craw out of there before that can come into your experience. After Jerry made his transition, Esther put him back together in dream after dream after dream. She'd go to sleep and she'd dream, and he'd show up and she'd say, "You look really good. You look so good. Everybody's going to be so glad to see you." And then she'd say, "How'd you do that? That's completely illogical. I know that you can't have come back. You were in too many pieces. You can't have come back." She just put him back because for a while that was the criteria that she was basing so much joyous life on. She was putting that back together because she hadn't been able to turn and look the other way for a while. You see what we're getting at? But we promise you there's always way more that away than that away. Enough?
Yes.
Really good. Really good.